All right. Here we go. We are live. Uh-oh. Let me see. Oh, I see down. See if that's any better. All right. I think that's still a little delay. Not sure what's going on. But here we are again, another Wednesday, right on the sports grid. Uh, as you can see, all our information is down here. Uh, Let me go off and see if I can come back on and maybe get rid of some of this distortion. Bo, are you getting that?
You're kind of choppy, man.
Okay, I thought it was me.
It's funny. Just about every show I've been on today has been having some technical difficulties.
Let's see.
Yeah, for whatever reason, just been kind of a weird one. How are you doing today?
Actually, we're doing pretty well. Just got back to microprocessors, feeling really good. Um, Tonight, the school's Bills supposed to be back. I guess maybe that's why we're having such difficulty.
Yeah, your sound keeps coming in and out. Oh. I can't. You're muted. Oh, now I'm by myself. Well, it has been a busy day in sports. Obviously. Hey, there we go.
Oh man. Let's see if we can muddle through this, bro. Uh, as I was, hopefully, Bill will show up a little bit later on. But as you say, it's been a busy day. Um, where do you want to start here, Bo? There's two possible NBA teams up for sale. Have you heard any rumors?
So I haven't heard any rumors on buyers yet. The one that is really curious to me is obviously the Trailblazers because it's the same ownership group as the Seahawks. And the press release they let out said that the Seahawks are not up for sale. I'm putting a yet. I'm putting a yet behind that. If they're finally to the spot where they're selling sports teams, you have to imagine that within the next couple of years, the Seahawks will be on the block also. They're not going to try and sell them all at the same time, obviously. So they'll do the Trailblazers first. But yeah, it'll be an interesting situation to watch.
But isn't there some kind of charity, some type of philanthropic uh, connected to the sale of the Trailblazers?
I haven't read all the details of what it is they want out of it. I just saw the initial press release. So I got to do a little more reading as far as what all is required to be able to buy the team. But from what I've heard, there isn't anybody that is the front runner for it as of yet.
No, nobody's out of door.
What was that?
I said no one's beating down the door.
Not yet, not yet. It's kind of a weird time to try and sell them, right? Because you're in the heart of the playoffs. So I would imagine it's something that'll take a little bit of time to come together.
Okay. Uh, I don't know what you have on your black socks tonight. Uh, I'm sure Demetrius would have his on. But what did you think about the announcement? Uh, Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe are now have been forgiven. Uh, they've been sprinkled with the holy water, and now they're uh, Hall of Fame eligible. What's your thoughts here, Paul?
So the way I look at this is them basically going to force him into the Hall of Fame so they can just never talk about it again, right? Because having him not in, his name and all of that came up every single year at the Hall of Fame. You know, as soon as we got around Hall of Fame inductee time, Pete Rose would always come up. And so I think this is one of those situations where they're just trying to, they'll put him in and then be like, hey, you know what? We never have to talk about it again. But from a tradition standpoint, I always thought a lifetime ban was exactly that. Like it was just kind of forever. Although I guess it's been longer than their lifetimes. So, maybe that's the loophole.
Good evening, Bill.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we can hear you. You have a little feedback too, but that might be the show. But hey, glad to have you back. It's been a few months. How's things been?
Well, I've been busy with the NFL draft, as you probably can imagine. But we have concluded and done our post draft shows on Draft Central. So now I'm back until January.
Nice.
Okay, good, good, good. Couple announcements. See, Don, his fiance is having her birthday today, so Don is here. And actually, Dave is out here in LA, I believe, doing some presentation out at LAX.
Oh,
That's the news that you left, Bill. Don has a fiance now. Uh,
Congratulations to Don.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, he's been all over Texas on Facebook. You can follow him around. But Bill, we were talking about Major League Baseball's decision to forgive Pete Rose,
Uh,
Shooter Show, and now they're eligible for the Hall of Fame.
well,
So,
then I assume that Eddie Seacott, Shoeless Joe Jackson, and a few others should be receiving similar, and in their case, even more delayed
They actually did.
consideration.
So
yeah,
um,
they are all eligible now.
Good,
yeah.
right? That's what I was hoping. Okay, well, if they're going to make that a blanket, right, right, everyone now, say your Hail Marys, walk the, signs of the cross, and say your novenas, and now you're all forgiven. Then as long as it's done even-handedly, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
Mhm.
No, no, any black socks on it. We're all like that. But, lifetime, I guess I should be glad I'm living as long as I have before, right?
Right.
uh, so, a little interesting things here in the NBA. Bill, we know that the Trailblazers and the Suns are possibly up for sale. Have
Right.
you heard any rumors?
I mean, there's always rumors, but I mean, especially in the age of the internet, there's a rumor about anything. Name something, there's a rumor about it. Nothing I would put my trust in, but you're going to hear. Here's the formula for rumors about NBA ownership: NBA great plus backers plus team. Rapper plus backers plus team. Let's see, what's the other formulas for NBA ownership rumors? Let's see. Let's see. Rappers, athletes, actors, actor. Big time actor plus, I guess, I'll use as a placeholder Ryan Reynolds, right? Ryan Reynolds just as a placeholder, plus backers,
Yep.
plus team. So, yeah, I mean, the usual just add water rumors are always going to be around about anytime a team might be available. But once again, nothing I would consider actionable intelligence. If you remember that term, James, from the old days, nothing I would consider actionable intelligence.
Yep. In fact, I wouldn't even include the last part of it. There's been nothing I've read that's been intelligent.
There we go. There we go. But every time a team becomes available, yes, there'll always be a bunch of rumors.
I'm going to open up a can of worms here since I had you guys here. I don't know if you remember when attorney, I don't know what her title is now, but at the time she was Fox News producer uh, and commentator, Gene Shapiro.
Judge Shapiro, yes. Judge Shapiro, yeah.
Yes, Judge Shapiro. I'm sorry, excuse me.
Judge Shapiro, yes.
She told LeBron that instead of being involved in social issues, he should shut up and dribble.
Yes, I do remember those days, yes.
But all of a sudden now, we have the possibility of an executive order concerning NIL.
Yes.
We also have a possible commission that would be headed by Nick Saban to talk about different aspects of college football.
Right.
So why don't you just stick to your policies, govern the country?
So, James, you saying shut up and legislate? Is that what you're trying to say?
There you go. Yeah.
So we all know that by putting politics in anything, you make everything better, right? We all know that, right? That always works. Always works.
I didn't
go wrong.
I didn't realize we're going down a weird wormhole today.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. Welcome to now. Welcome to the age in which you live, Mr. Bo Crouch. Stay limber.
I was just interested. What do you guys think?
I mean, I kind of said what I think, but I mean, there's a film / prophecy called Idiocracy. Mike Judge.
That is a documentary, actually.
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Yes. Soothsayer / filmmaker Mike Judge made this classic, I think 20, close to 25 years ago. And amongst the most interesting things, my favorite fun fact about it is that they were looking for the stupidest looking shoes they could find. And this is a film shot on a very limited budget. So the costume mistress, whose name I used to even know at one point, I've now forgotten, comes and says, hey, there's this company. It's a brand new company. I can get like 1,000 pairs of these things. They are the ugliest things you've ever seen.
Yep.
But they're practically giving them away. He said, sure, whatever. And of course, they turn out to be Crocs.
Yep. Yeah, they debuted in the movie. It is hilarious.
Yep.
And weirdly fitting.
Very much so. Very much so.
Oh, yeah, I just thought I'd throw you a quick curveball in here.
I mean, if there's anything that you could say on the positive is if he's meddling in these types of things, he can't be ruining other stuff. So
there you go. What you're proposing is what I call the whack-a-mole conundrum.
Yeah, I feel like we're all getting smacked though. Like
Sadly, yes.
I'm a veteran, and a senior. I feel like I'm getting double smacked here. Fight
Yeah,
back.
that you are. That you are.
So the NCAA has decided. Well, the House has settlement has been revised in the hope of placating the judge. Uh, what do you think about the grandfather clause of, like of this proposal, Bo? Did you get a chance to look at it? Any?
I'm trying to read what your question is because I couldn't quite make it out.
Uh, we're talking about the judge's ruling. And what did you think about the grandfathering clause?
About what? I'm sorry. The audio has been. Hey, Bill, go ahead and go. I'm just going to read the question that way I can.
I assume you're back on your friend Janine Pirro again. Is that where we are? We're back
No,
on that.
we're talking about the judge's ruling, where she gave the NCAA, I believe it was until May 30th, to decide. One of the questions was where the roster size was going down
Right.
to
Right.
100. Yeah,
Right.
uh, you know, so
So yeah,
they're
this
trying
is
to grandfather people in.
right. So essentially, for those that hadn't reviewed it, it would maybe not end, but it would greatly curtail the life of the walk on, right? And think of all the great walk on stories from Harlan Hill, who's the Harlan Hill Trophy is named for, Baker Reagan Mayfield, who won a Heisman and was a first overall selection, Brandon Burlsworth, for whom the Burlsworth Trophy that's awarded to the top walk on in the country, and several others have gone on from being, some people use the term disrespected. I just think it's maybe undervalued players who've made it, into, in some cases, halls of fame. And while I don't think you can ever completely stamp out the walk-on spirit, it makes it very difficult if you're only allowed even beyond, you're raising the number of scholarships, but you're capping the roster, right? As of now, there's no actual hard cap for NCAA rosters. You can have 500 players on the team. You can't dress 500, and you can't put more than 85 on scholarship. But if 415 other dudes say, I want to say I played football here at Idaho, wherever it is that you are, you could come out to practice, whatever. We're not taking you any place and you won't ever play, but sure, right? I've been that guy. So I understand all too well the life of the, what's the opposite of preferred walk on? I guess discouraged walk on. And so
That's the last
hey,
for the league.
oh, you're back? You came back, huh? Okay, sure, whatever. Get out there, get some cardio. But the what they're saying is that those that are already in the pipeline, in essence, get to carry out, right? Get to keep going. What I think is happening, and stop me if you've heard this before, but people who don't know anything about anything have poked their nose into something. I mean, that never happens. And now you have something that wasn't actually very. We can argue whether things were fixed, but they weren't as broken as they soon will be. I think we can all agree on that, right? I guess it's the old if it's broke, break it some more is what we're seeing carried out here. So to me, the more quote unquote elegant solution, if you want to use the term, would be to essentially say that if the school or team, whatever, is able to find additional sources of revenue, right? The NCAA says we're capping what you can fund at this. And then if your corporate partners or your whatevers or your booster club wants to say, we will come up with 20 more sets of whatevers for the other 20 hardy idiots that decided they wanted to be the 5th and 6th on the depth chart for your team, boom, go. I mean, it seems like there's lots of easier solutions than putting in draconian rules, which somebody will have to enforce or maybe not enforce. I guess we'll see what happens. But why bother, right? Like, what has been gained or lost or even affected by saying you can't have a third long snapper, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about people that would have been, the third or fourth or fifth at whatever position, or in some cases even deeper down, probably at some positions. And these are people who just want to say they played college football, right? If you are the guys that are going to be affected by this, while there is always some, beating all the odds story, but that's like 3 times out of 1,000, right? And it's cool that it happens, but most of them are like me, guys like me, who want to say, "Hey, I played college football," and taking that away from them accomplishes what?
Yeah, I thought it was a weird stance when they were bringing it up, because okay, you get rid of the walk-ons, but what does that do? Does that help Division II? Right? I mean, like, what's it do? Right? Like, maybe it elevates Division II football because some of these guys that maybe further down the depth chart end up going to a different school. Maybe, I guess, but I mean, there's so many good stories about walk-ons. I don't really get the point of getting rid of them.
Yep.
And you can't say money. The schools make more money now than they ever have.
Ever have, right?
So I mean, it was a ridiculous stance for them to come out and say, "Yeah, we grandfather guys in." I'm hoping what that's doing is opening the door for them to get rid of a stupid rule that shouldn't be there anyway.
There we go.
The Pac-12 has a TV. No.
Yeah. I mean, it is technically a TV deal. They didn't get the money they wanted, and there's a real question on whether or not they'll be able to pay the fines to get all the schools to come over. So there is still a really high viability of this league this conference not making it. So, this Pac-12 is still very much wait and see.
Yeah. Now, Judge Pirro, here's where you should be sticking your nose, right? Hey, let's get involved in this, right? This is the fun. This is interesting. Hey, how would you like to lose a little money and play college football in our conference, right? Not a lot of money, just a little, right? Because once you're done paying for this and paying for that and getting out of your previous deal, you'll only be maybe a couple of $100,000 in the hole.
Exactly. You gotta pay to play football in our conference.
Nice. College football really has become like, it's not a full-on Ponzi scheme. I don't want to make it sound like that, but we're nearing it, right? We're getting close to like pump and dump and like penny stocks, and I mean, it's fascinating to me. Like, at some point there will be a derivative secondary market where I can like bet on which conferences will survive, right? A futures market for conferences. It is a fascinating world that we now have to live in. I
feel like the NCAA is fast tracking the 2 conference, right? Because I think the way they're handling stuff, the NCAA is going to find its way out of football, and we're going to end up with a 2 major conference type of setup, and it's going to be pro football. Like, that's basically what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think about the 12-game schedule now? And ESPN is offering extra money to the SEC to schedule a 9th game.
I have a prediction. I have a prediction, James, that they will take the money. That's my prediction.
It's all about that money. And Jay, the 2 conference versus the 4, it'll come. I mean, the game is changing that direction. It's still years away, but the NCAA, being the way they are, so hyper reactionary, they're going to force themselves out.
There's a term, and I don't know if you guys use it in your community, Bo, but the term is hustling backwards.
Yes.
I don't know if you are familiar with the term. I don't know if they have an actual department of hustling backwards at the NCAA, but if they don't, they're missing an opportunity, because they're killing it when it comes to hustling backwards.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And for anybody watching that doesn't know, it would be like going to a car lot and being like, "I will only give you more than the sticker price."
And then when the person says, like, well, how about 5,800? 6,000. Right? 6,200, 6,400, right? Yes, exactly. That's what it is. That's what we're witnessing.
Yeah, see, there
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
I figured somebody watching may not have heard it. Jay here in the comments,
Yeah.
he hadn't heard it. But yeah, that's exactly it. It's hustling yourself out of stuff.
There
And
you
that
go.
is exactly what the NCAA is doing.
Yep.
Hey, but I'll tell you somebody that's listening good though, and I think Tiger just mentioned it. He was asking you about the Clemson Notre Dame 12-year series.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that'll
Talk
be
about
cool.
making money.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that'll make money, but that'll actually be a fun matchup too. Like
Yep.
it'll be entertaining to watch. So those types of things, yeah, bring it.
Okay, guys, here's another curveball. How long can Notre Dame remain independent?
I mean, indefinitely, right? Every few years, in fact, not even every few years, every year, someone writes this is the end of Notre Dame's independence and predicts various scenarios. I remember when Penn State joined the Big Ten, an article by like one of the big guys, maybe Pat Forty, somebody, like one of the big names, not some little pipsqueak, not some 14-year-old with a blog, but one of the big guys, right? Wrote this thing about how it was just a matter of time. This is how many? 96? Is that what year? I mean, it was a long time ago.
You didn't say
that
how
people were
long the matter
predicting.
of time was.
Right. Good point. I guess that's a good point. But like people have been predicting, there's certain things people keep predicting, right? Oh, this is the year that the Steelers don't have a winning season. For 5 years in a row, people predicted this, right? Certain things people just predict every year, and then eventually, I guess they'll be right if they do it long enough. I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm not about to predict that Notre Dame's going to join a conference. I'll believe it when I see it.
So the only thing that I think will force their hand a little bit is the fact that the conferences are getting so big that they're not really needing to take out of conference games. So Notre Dame could find themselves in a spot if they don't field a great squad where now your games are now whatever the Pac-12 Mountain West becomes, essentially, right? Because the big guys, the Big 10, the Big 12, SEC, ACC, like these guys aren't going to need to play outside of their conference. I mean, the Big 10 has 18 schools.
Right.
So, I mean, and of course, you're looking at the caliber of teams within a conference. Like, you're not going to go try and play a stacked team if Notre Dame's good when you already have to try and find your way through your team because you're trying to get to the playoffs. You know, bowl games aren't what they used to be. Some of those major bowl games are now part of the playoff. So unless you want to go, play on the field with a Pop-Tart, it's probably not going to be, you're not going to the Rose Bowl or Cotton Bowl or anything like that unless you're in the playoff. So if you are in a division or in a conference like the Big Ten, and you're like, okay, you know what? We got a stacked schedule already. We can't lose more than 2 games and make it into the playoff. I'm not going to go play Notre Dame if they have a good squad, right? So then all of a sudden they're going to be playing, Wazoo and Boise State, maybe like that would be their tougher games. Right. So I mean, I would bet that at some point, because of the way college football is going, it will force their hands. Based on tradition, though, they're going to fight it until they can't.
Right.
Tooth and nail going down. Well, we should see what happens with Notre Dame. And maybe they'll join Pac-12.
Sure, why not? Why not?
There is no way they do that. They would be better off independent than doing that.
also true. But think how much fun it would be, right? And with the shoulder patches, say Chico's bail bonds on the side. I mean, why not? Why not? I have a whole bunch of scenarios for in fact, I wrote a whole article on Team MBS Media about how to save the Pac-12. First of all, the Pac-12 should have never gotten to this point. But once again, we know egos and idiocracy rule, right? So when you add ego to idiocracy, what do you get? You get a conference that's I mean, like I said, sending you up text to UNLV. Uh, I mean, hey, Boise State, what are you feeling like you might want to do? I mean, right? I mean, that's what's right. You know what I'm talking about.
They ran their conference like Brett Favre on a cell phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
High risk. High risk.
hey guys, there's a movie Madness coming out, and
Yes. Yes, it
we
is.
have Nicolas Cage is playing the
yeah.
man. What do
Yeah.
you think, Bo?
I mean, it's Cage, right? So like, it's either gonna be good or bad.
There you go. There
Like,
you
there's
go.
no gray area. You're either gonna be like, oh, you know what? This is like Face Off. This is all right. I can get into this, or it's gonna be the other 90% of the films he's made.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, like I hope it's good, but I'm
yeah,
not putting a lot of money on it, right? Like that would, even if I'm going into the theater thinking, all right, I'm hoping this is good. At the gate, I bet on the under.
hope the popcorn is good.
Yeah, I had completely cast this film in my mind, and I had O'Shea Jackson Jr. playing Jack Tatum. I had Sam Rockwell playing young John Madden. I had John Malkovich actually as not Christopher Walken. Sorry, Christopher Walken as Al Davis, which would have been fascinating.
That was amazing.
It would have been so cool. But yeah, I cast this whole thing in my mind. So yes, I could. This is a movie I would. They should have brought me in as at least a consultant. Dave Bautista with, of course, lots of hair added as John Matuzak. But yeah, I had this whole thing going. I had this thing ready. I could have completely done this for them easily enough. Right. Ryan Coogler, normally a filmmaker, but gets to do a little acting. He plays Cliff Branch because he was a wide receiver himself. I still have my scouting notes on Ryan Coogler from his days as a Sacramento State wide receiver, in case you're wondering. But yeah, this is as Bo just said. Once to get back to the Brett Favre cell phone, either this is going to be a glorious victory or the most ignominious defeat you could ever imagine.
Well, and it was funny. So this was my immediate reaction when I saw the picture, right? Because it was Madden and Davis, side by side with the rings, right? But of course, it was Cage. And so the first thing I did was look to see who posted it, because I thought for sure it was going to be like the Sports Memery or like some joke site. And no, it's a real thing. It is a real thing.
Yes, it is. Speaking of the real thing, Bo, we have Spencer Rattler, Tyler Slaw, uh,
Sure.
Chuck
Hamer, and now we've added Hunter Decker.
Decker. Yes.
to,
Speaking of shoeless Joe Jackson and Eddie Seacott and Pete Rose, right? Lifetime bans and whatnot.
but remember, the Saints passed on Shador also. Thoughts here, Bo, when you look at this quarterback room?
I mean, I look at this quarterback room and my friends that are Saints fans, I feel bad for them. Because Rattler's going to get the start. He is going to be your starter out of this group. Shook will be your number two. But I don't know what you saw out of him that made you think, hot damn, let's go. Like, I mean, dude's a project. He would have been way better off had Carr been able to stick around, because he's going to need that development. And Carr actually would have been a great guy for that.
Yep.
But like he needs that development, and I don't know that he gets it there at this point.
Bill?
I mean, don't 25-year-old rookies always work out at the quarterback position? I mean, what could go wrong? Look, I like Tyler Shuck no, I don't. I don't like as much as the next guy, but I like him more than most 25-year-old rookie quarterbacks. I remember watching the Oregon spring game, right, when he was the number one at Oregon ahead of a little kid, a skinny, tall kid named Justin Herbert. So he's clearly been around the block a few times. He's had some ups and some downs. He has a good arm. I got to see him up close, stood, 20-something feet away from him and watched him throw footballs at the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Saw him at the Combine. I was at the Combine and at the Senior Bowl. There's talent there, but if everything goes right, you're talking about like a more athletic version of Nick Foles. And as you just mentioned, they have the former 5-star who was like the number one high school prospect in the world, right? Or at least for 1 year, I guess, the number one high school prospect in the country. In Rattler, right, at one point was the highest rated high school football player in America. Now, I have, in the past and will again in the future, take shots at the high school recruitment industry for its various and sundry misdeeds. But that being said, at one point, people thought this guy was going to be a superstar, right? This guy was, at Elite 11 and all these other things, and he arrives right on the cusp of NIL and those things. So everyone knows this guy's going to be something. He's another guy's got a big arm, right? He was at one point super confident. He dialed that back a little bit. If you watch the QB1 documentary, you saw at one time what a pretentious little cuss he was. But like I said, I think the time getting the crap kicked out of it, South Carolina, and losing his job at Oklahoma, sort of dialed some of that back. But he's got an opportunity. He does have talent. While I am critical of the whole star system, you don't become a 5-star and the number one quarterback and the number one player in the country without having talent. Sure. I don't think they really wanted Shedeur for two reasons. One is Shedeur is not their type of quarterback. Shedeur is a touch and anticipation thrower. The one thing all those guys in their quarterback room have in common is arms. They're all guys with arms. Mm-hmm. Hayner's probably the weakest arm of the bunch, but Deckers, Shuck, and Rattler all are big arms. All 68th and up percentile arm strength guys, right? Guys who can throw a football 59, 58, 60, 61 miles an hour. That's what they like. Shedeur is not that, right? There's a reason Shedeur didn't allow any of his velocities to be tested because it would have been on the lower end. He's just not a power arm. He's not their type. So they're hoping that either they found something in one of the various quarterbacks they have, or two, they're terrible. And then they get a shot to draft one again next year when it's a stronger class of quarterbacks and also a stronger armed class of quarterbacks.
Yep. Yeah. So on that note, though, so when we were at the Senior Bowl, was there even a quarterback that you were excited about that was there? Because I didn't see anything during that week or the game where I was like, yeah, like every guy, I was just like, man, I hope they do something better outside of this week.
So the thing that was interesting to me, right, and I thought that it was, to me, there was a clear number one, and then everybody was fighting for number two. That's what I saw. I thought that there was a bit of a gap between Jackson Dart and everybody else. Now, other people came away with other reads on it. I saw Eldersma getting love from people for reasons I'm not 100% sure I understood.
He was interesting because he was
he's so new
transplant,
right.
But when you looked at some of the stuff he did, and then even during play, because he had to not only pick up the terminology, but he also had to pick up subtle differences in the game.
Right, the game itself is different, right?
Yeah, and he played every bit as good as everybody else. So that's why people were high on him, because they're like, look, you're going to get this guy as an undrafted free agent.
Yes.
Right? So you're going to get him for nothing. And he played every bit as good as everybody else that was there. So I got why I was surprised. Or did somebody finally call him? I didn't think anybody did. I don't think
he's in a camp now. Yeah, he's in a camp right now. Yeah, he got an invitation.
Okay. Because I know there was a delay on that, and I was like, how did nobody have him come in?
Yeah, he is in camp right now with the Packers. It's the Packers.
Okay. I mean, that could work. Especially for a guy that's free.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be free. That works. But Bill, you just come off of Draft Central, so I want you to take something. The Falcons traded a number one pick
Yep.
to move from 26 to 46
Yep.
to pick up Mr. Pence Jr.
Yep.
Makes sense. I don't see it. I
The
mean,
the Falcons think they're
personality.
closer to contending than you think they are, is what I'm beginning to realize. The Falcons think that they're about poised, right, to make a move. Now, we can, I mean, either they'll turn out to be right or you'll turn out to be right, right? We won't know for a little while. But if the Falcons go 11-6, right, and win a playoff game, they'll call it a win, right? No matter how much it costs them. No matter how much it costs them, if the team is that much better, they'll say, we won. We got what we needed. And of course, if they're wrong, you're going to rub their faces in it, I would imagine. They knew they needed. I mean, you saw their team, right? Their pass rush. There's lots of terms people use: anemic, moist, right? Right. I mean, I don't know. Pick a term. Their pass rush was not exactly terrifying last year,
There's
and they added Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. I can't imagine that one, if not both of those players, do not see the field a great deal immediately right out of the box.
Sure.
Right? If those two players are in the running for Rookie of the Year, even if they don't win it, if they're in the running, if both of them are in the running for Rookie of the Year, both those guys, let's say you get a total of 11 sacks out of the two of them combined, no matter how it's sliced up. That's 11 more sacks.
That's a win.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Falcons would say, F them picks, right? To quote Les Snead, and we got 11 more sacks than we had last year.
Yeah. Well, and then the number you'd really want to be looking at is how many more quarterback hurries did they get out of that too? Because
Sure.
as flashy as sacks are, if that's the only time you get back there, it doesn't really matter. Right? I always like looking at quarterback hurries because it's like, okay, now you're moving them off their spot. That's how you end up with, interceptions and 3 and outs and all of that. So as much as I love a sack total, quarterback hurries is the one I really like to see because it's like, okay, that means you're in their face all day.
Yeah, and the only caveat to that is if it's Josh Allen, if it's because the play just begins once you pressure them, right? Yeah. So that's the only caveat I have to that is if I get Josh Allen on the ground, I'm like, yeah, yes, way to go. If I just flush Josh out of the pack, I'll be like, oh crap, no, right? I mean, so right,
yeah. So then you want to add the quarterback hit stat.
Right, yeah, right. But I mean, once again, some guys the play just begins when they get hit. I mean, that was what Ben Roethlisberger like. Oh, now I'm feeling it, right? Yeah. Now I'm ready to go. I mean, he was famous for getting the ball with 2 or 3 guys hanging on him.
Well, nobody wants to see hurries for Lamar.
Right, you don't want to see hurries for Lamar, and we're about to get that way for I'm seeing him right now in my mind. Number 2, thin.
What team?
Well, Arizona State by way of LSU, and then of course Washington.
Daniels,
yeah, Jaden Daniels, right? He's about to be in that same category where
for sure.
Don't tell me about pressures. Don't tell me how you flush him from the pocket. I don't need that. Tell me how you got him on the ground. But yeah, there's if it's Kirk Cousins, yeah, give me pressures. Give me hurries all day long, right? If it's Goff, oh yeah, definitely give me the pressures. Give me hurries. Right, exactly. Right. Those guys become dramatically worse when you make them hold the ball or move or look at the pass rush. And those quarterbacks will get better when you do that, right? So that's the only little asterisk I put by things like hurries and pressures is that for some guys it's a disaster when you do that. For other guys, for them, others it's a disaster for you when you do that.
Yeah.
Bo, let's talk about your Seahawks a little bit here. Who won that Sam Howell trade?
as far as getting rid of him, or how when we brought him in. No, getting rid of him was a known. That was a known quantity. You knew he was leaving the building as soon as they brought Drew Lock back. Even if they didn't draft anybody, Sam Howell was not going to stay on the roster as soon as they brought Lock back. And I mean, the thing was I had the benefit of being at the Seahawks practices last year, right? And you got to watch him miss guys with no pass rush and no defense.
Right.
Like he's sailing passes and not hitting targets with nobody around. And I'm not even saying like practice defense where they come in, but they can't hit you. Like zero pressure, wide open dude, single read practice guys. So, I mean, watching that, you're just like, yeah, like he's not going to be the guy. Now in Washington, his rookie year, put up a ton of yards, had a ton of touchdowns, also threw to the other team equally as much. And so when you see that not being a progression thing, and let's be honest, the league really isn't about developing anybody anymore. So it is, you better be ready to rock today or be a very small project. And otherwise, hit the road. And so Sam Howell is going to be headed, he's headed to his third team. Yep. And, as many years. So, it's
I'd take him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's unfortunate for him, but the writing was on the wall as soon as they brought Drew Lock back, because Drew Lock has proven that he can be a very viable backup. And if your guy goes down, he's shown that he can absolutely come in and win you games.
Is there a reunion with cornerback Shaquille Griffin?
Yeah, I know they're bringing him. They're bringing him in to talk to him. I haven't heard anything else about it, so I haven't heard that they've signed him in or anything like that. I know if they do, that would have been big news. So as far as I know, it's still sitting on. He's going to come in and meet and do walkthroughs and stuff. But I haven't heard anything about him actually becoming part of the team as of yet.
Bleacher Report named the Seahawks as the NFC's biggest offseason loser.
That is so ridiculous. First off, I hate grading drafts. That is the most ridiculous thing to do because you're grading guys that have never taken a snap in the league. So you could give the Seahawks an A or a D. And you know what? You could be right because we have no idea. But no, calling them out for being the worst is ludicrous. So when you look at the way they drafted, right? First round, they go get the third best guard in, as far as ranking, right? Also a guy that has played every position on the line. So if your offensive line gets hurt, you don't have to lose a guy. Like you can slide him over, fit someone in. Your line doesn't have to get significantly worse. Then so not only do we get a good pick, but it was for a direct need. So you get best available and your need in pick one. I don't hate that. And you control him for the 5th year. It's a first round pick. So overall, for a team that has their tackles locked down, needed interior offensive line incredibly bad, they grab a guy that can move around that line if somebody gets hurt. That's a smart pick to me. Then you look at pick number 2. We needed an enforcer type of safety. If you watch the defense for Seattle over the last few years, tackling has been an issue. Hitting people's been an issue. Eminwari is a Cam Chancellor style safety. Like he comes down to hit you. And so that was, again, another solid pick. You get your quarterback in the 3rd. They grab a D end, I think was the 4th round pick. So, I mean, like they really targeted needs that they had with high caliber guys. I don't know how you can rank them so poorly when they were literally plugging massive holes within the team.
Yeah, especially when you look at the 49 draft, you know. So, you know, but they get the bucks. We just we just did this of it. So
Oh, there we go.
uh, there was Bill. He back up. Bill, I want to ask you about Jerry's. Uh, as we know, this year they took a guard for their first round pick.
Yep.
Something that we thought Jerry would go for the flash and dash, but instead he got George Pickens for little or nothing, as far as I'm concerned. But what do you think about uh, Dak with the addition of Pickens? So it'll be Pickens and Lamb. Uh, I don't know how that's going to work out quite in the locker room, but they did add him. Uh, do you think Jerry's guys are destined to become the third best in their division this year again?
Well, I mean, I think Dallas will be better than they were last year for a couple of reasons. I think that some of the players that got hurt last year probably won't get hurt this year. George Pickens, whatever you want to say about him, has reliable hands, is a big body. He is a near elite level athlete at the position, highly competitive. And I think in a situation where he doesn't have to be the guy, right? He was thrust, I would say, too soon into the guy role, being the guy, being the number one. Now he gets a chance to learn from somebody, to be the number two. We got to see Antonio Brown. He wasn't even a number two, right? Antonio Brown was probably a number four when he first comes in. They still had Mike Wallace. They still had Hines Ward. I mean, they had a bunch of people ahead of him. And he's a special teamer who first sort of comes to people's um, attention through the "This is Sparta," right? The kicker kick play. And then, he's an all pro level return specialist who works his way up. For Pickens, despite all of the stuff you heard about him at Georgia, and yeah, he had some stuff, right, at Georgia. The Steelers are not afraid of people with personalities and maybe even personality disorders. And they brought him in, and very quickly, he became, especially in certain situations, the guy they were going to, right? There were times when everyone said, oh, well, they're going to Pickens here, right? Even if there's two people on him, there's times that they would float the ball to Pickens, especially on those like fades and things like that. They're going to Pickens, right? Who else are they going to go to in those situations? So he was put in a situation, I think, a little too soon, where a lot of the offensive game plan and the pressure that goes with it revolved around him in the passing game. Now he gets to be a clear number two, right? And he'll be facing not to say these guys are going to be trash, obviously, but they're not the same kind of players he was facing as a number one, right?
Yeah.
That's one clear change. There is someone else to go to about how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? Other than just a coach, right? When he was, no offense to the other receivers that were on the team the last couple of years, but how many of those guys would you, if you're a budding superstar, say, this guy's better than me? I need to go talk to him, right? For the first time, probably in his whole pro career, he can say, there's somebody who I know is better than me. I can ask him about how he deals with double teams, how he feels with this, how he deals with that. And then the last thing is, I think the Dallas actually had a good draft. In my grading, in my opinion, not grading. As Bo pointed out, you can't. In 3 years, we should talk about grading this draft. But
Exactly.
based on how I value the players on the board, right? Based on how I value the players on the board, they had an above average, I would say a well above average draft. So, assuming once again, that's all we're doing is assuming that they don't get destroyed by injuries at key positions, assuming their coaching is at least at replacement level, right? Average level coaching. I'm thinking they'll win 2 or 3 more games this year than they did last year.
Yeah, and the thing that's funny is the Cowboys routinely do well in the draft.
Yes.
as soon as that's done, they decide to mess everything else up ever thereafter. But the draft room, they actually do pretty well.
Yep.
So, I mean, for them to have a good draft didn't shock me. I figured they would. That's the one spot that, Jerry seems to still have his faculties. Now, if he could just jump on one of Elon's rockets and go float around somewhere and let his team actually try and win some games, they'd probably be better off. But, yeah, the only concern I have for Pickens is, can he keep his head straight?
Yep.
Because before, everything ran to him. And he gets mad when he doesn't get the ball when he's the guy. So now he's number 2. Does he start to get frustrated, especially when they lose? Like if they start out slow, because they open the season with the Eagles, who's probably going to jump on them, right? If they start off slow and he doesn't get the touches he thinks he should, that could get toxic in a hurry. And that's what I'm saying. That could be a real issue. Like what you hope for him is that he thrives as a number 2 and has that Juju Smith-Schuster opposite of Antonio Brown situation.
Right.
That's the ideal setup. But you're looking at it as it could be the T.O. Chad Johnson thing where it on paper it looks awesome, but it just never really worked.
Yeah. Let me ask you about the Vikings. Their Vikings, they get 2 of those. Was it 6 international games?
Yep.
And they play us with Dublin. I forget what date it is, but what do you think about the Vikings' chances this year? It seems like everybody in that division has improved.
Yeah, I mean, that division's still going to be a battle. Like that's probably going to be quite possibly the best division in football yet again. I mean, most of those teams are solid. The biggest question for the Vikings, obviously, is JJ the guy? Because at Michigan, he was never really asked to be the guy. He had to be special a couple of times, no big deal. Whereas with the Vikings, we're going to have to see if he can play. So that'll be good to watch. I think the biggest surprise out of some of these international games is they're actually giving the international people good games.
Yes.
Like usually they send them trash, and this year they're actually going to send good games over there. So that's amazing because usually it's like the Titans versus the Jags, and you're like, I mean, okay, I guess. But from the NFL side, it's smart because they're like, you know what, it doesn't matter who we send over there, it's going to sell out. But no, this time around, a lot of the overseas games are games.
Yes, I was, even after NFL Europe and all the other experiments have kind of been deaths, but they do take the real teams more rather than what was it, Ryan North or what was some of those teams back in the 80s. But Bill, I'm gonna let you fill my ranks today since I don't have Dave here. So I'm gonna beat you up a little bit here.
Oh, okay.
So Steelers GM Omar Khan says he didn't consider the Pickens trade a disappointment. Okay. Uh, is there some kind of hidden agenda here in this pursuit of Aaron Rodgers? I mean,
No.
even the Vikings took Sam Howell over Aaron Rodgers as a backup. Okay. Uh,
Right. Well, I mean, part of that is what you can afford to spend on your quarterback room. I don't know if you noticed. I mean, now obviously they didn't give the giant deal that they conceivably could have given to Sam Darnold, but they are. You're not. My assumption is that if Aaron Charles Rodgers is willing to play for a deal sort of like what Russell Carrington Wilson is playing for with the Giants, he'd already be playing for somebody, right? I assume he still wants to be paid, probably not quite what he made the last time he went out there, but close. He probably wants to be within 80%, probably at the 80 percentile range of what he last made, which is more than what most teams want to pay, right? For a man who's 40 years old.
The speculation
So,
is 30 mil.
right, exactly.
The nicest he'll take 10.
So the if you're asking me who I'm taking, especially if I'm a team that already has a starting quarterback, as the Vikings think they do, the better option is Sam Howell, right? If you're trying to develop J.J. McCarthy, a 40-year-old, super diva is not exactly the recipe for success in developing your. I mean, just to put it in perspective, J.J. McCarthy, I think, just turned 22. If he's a starter, he'll still be the youngest starter, right? Even though he was in the last draft, he's younger than all the quarterbacks in this draft class that came out. He would have been the youngest quarterback in this draft class if he were in this draft class, and he was in last year's draft class. So he's a baby. The recipe for developing him is probably not a 40-year-old super diva. Sam Howell is actually a much better idea if you're looking for that supportive ear to talk to when you're struggling out there. So that to me, that's not a referendum on Rodgers, right? That's the best fit. I mean, there's lots of people.
The part that would be the referendum on Rodgers is also acknowledging the fact that if they did go get him, there's going to be zero development of the guy behind him because he just doesn't do that, and he doesn't show up to any of the preseason stuff. So
None of that.
Like, you're setting this kid up for as much disaster as possible.
Correct. Right. That's the point I'm making.
I'm here for it. I hope they do it.
So,
right.
Like I said, why not?
Why not Cousins?
Yeah.
Well, is Cousins 100% yet? Is he even able to throw a football and move around and stuff?
Oh yeah,
He is. Okay. I was trying to. I didn't know where he was in his rehab process.
I mean, can Aaron Rodgers move around?
But I mean, Kirk Cousins. Whatever else you may say about him, he's not a super diva. Obviously, but he might still think he's a starter. That's the one sort of caveat I have, that he might still think he's a starter.
You also have to deal with the fact that you're going to eat a lot of his contract.
Yes, because and that's the biggest deal, right? His contract has a lot of guaranteed money, James. A lot.
Oh, a lot, yeah. $100 million.
A lot.
That's what I'm saying. Once again, how much money are you going to spend on your quarterback room?
But the rumor has it might not have been true, but rumor has it that you could have got Kurt for a 6th-round draft pick. I know we didn't have a lot of draft picks, but it doesn't make any difference if you don't have nobody throwing the ball.
I mean, if Atlanta was willing to just eat his contract and give him away,
I have this just breaking. They're not.
All things being equal, we watched Denver do it to Russ.
We did watch Denver do it to Russ.
And in fact, we watched the Eagles do it to Wentz.
We did. But those are two franchises that are willing to walk away from their mistake and pay for their mistake.
Yeah.
I have not seen that same level of willingness, and I'm going to check again, but nope, still not willing.
And that's the second part of my question, Bill, because we have a weak O-line, we have mediocre wide receivers. Who's our number one? Metcalf?
Yes, it's going to be Metcalf. Yes, correct.
And who's going to be our number one running back?
At this very moment, it's Jalen Warren. But we've also invested some draft capital in the position. But I do like the player.
So my question, Bill, is Mike Tomlin actually will his last season? I think he signed through through 26?
Yeah, he has 2 more years.
Okay. He has 2 more years on his deal, yes.
Yeah. Or is it time to move on from Omar Khan with this haphazard type of drafting that he's doing?
I was hoping Omar Khan would be a little more, either would take bigger swings or would build slowly, and he did neither exactly, right? He neither did the high risk, high reward thing, nor did he, I'm just going to add like smart little pieces here and there and trade down and add value. And like he did neither of the things that I like, right? Or can at least get behind. It was a little bit of neither fish nor fowl, right? Oh, the delicious soup sandwich. So my hope, my genuine hope, one is that we're still in the market, like for some of the remaining, like now the value shopping and free agency, right? Now scratch and dent sale time. You can add some good players at now low prices because the people who were going to get big deals already have them, right? That's already happened. If you were going to get a big money deal, you would already have it. That's the first thing. And I would still be willing to make trades, quite frankly. I still believe that this is a team that is, I mean, you saw the talent disparity in the playoff game, right? I mean, forget coaching. You saw the talent disparity between our two teams in the playoffs, right, James? Where you could say, oh, wow, man, those guys are good. Look at them. Wow, right? It's like the Monstars versus.
So what I don't get is what. So you go get DK, right? Which fine. He's your number one, kind of. He doesn't run a good route. Like the thing, he runs go balls. Everybody always wanted to compare him to Megatron, which is laughable because Megatron is an absolute beast of a human, right? But they like to do it because of his stature, his size, and everything, right? But for my actual comp for DK is Des Bryant. He runs 3 routes well, and they're all deep. Everything else is kind of lazy and rounded off and easier for a defender to pick up. He also doesn't necessarily catch some of the easy balls, right? He'll catch the one-handed craziness, and then he'll let something that's a crossing pattern hit him square in the hands and drop it. So you need a possession guy. And there's a guy out there, Amari Cooper, who's just floating around that is a pretty good.
And now the price has come down.
You know, like I don't know why he isn't on a roster for some of these teams that need a possession guy.
And now you're going to get him for probably 7 point something per year, maybe not, maybe less, right?
Be almost.
I think if you throw a 2-year, 14.25 at him, he's solid.
I mean, he might even do more like a just over the league, vet minimum
with a bunch of incentives. Yeah,
well, that's fully guaranteed, right?
Right.
I mean,
and that's a deal I'd pull the trigger on all day long. So my off-season plan for us, James, which is not going to happen because a lot of the players are not available that I was really, but I had us getting J.K. Dobbins. I had us getting Winston, right, for quarterback. And once again, like guys like Amari Cooper or Robert Woods, some of those lower-priced veterans that do what? Catch the football. Because if you do have a guy like DeCarrion Metcalf, is, as you just said, he is. Remember those games where you can, the strata, like the thing vibrates and the football players kind of wobble down the field. Yeah. He's a big, strong version of that, right? His routes always look kind of like you can always recognize exactly what route it is. Sometimes, like is that a dig, a deep curl, like what? Huh?
Yeah, was that supposed to be a 5-yard out, or is that like a 15-yard drag? I really can't tell.
I'm not exactly sure what route he's running. So there's things to like about him, right? I mean, he is a big, strong dude, and he can make spectacular catches. But that 3rd and 6 got to have it. Ooh, I get a little queasy, right? Right?
And the worst part is even if you got to have it, and he catches it, he's going to have a 15-yarder after the play that may negate the whole thing.
There you go. He's gonna throw the ball at the defender or something.
Yeah, knock him down, do something dumb. And the worst thing is his ability to get flags after the play has increased every year since he got in the league. So it's not like it's gotten better over time. So it's, and in a press conference here last year, someone asked, they're like, "Oh, what did they do to get in your head?" And he's like, "No one's in my head." It's like, oh, okay. Great, because that means you're doing this on purpose.
This is just me. This is how God made me. God, I love wide receivers. They are a special breed.
So, Bill, is Mike going to get an extension, or is this his last year?
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but are we talking about the Steelers here? Are we just to make sure we're talking about the same team? We talking about the Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Right?
If you're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers, then you could pistol yourself in for about another decade of Mike Tomlin. Get comfortable.
For real. Yeah, your GM, on the other hand, like you said before,
Now that's a better question.
it didn't seem like he had a plan. It seemed like he had chaos darts, and he's like, "Oh shit, we traded Pickens. Uh-oh, our whole quarterback room's gone. What do we do?" I mean, it was so weird watching your guys' offseason. Especially because you go get DK. You hadn't released any quarterbacks yet. You have Pickens and DK, both level long ball. You have Russ, who really only wants to throw a long ball. And you're like, you know what, Russ, hit the bricks. Pickens, bye. What do you got? Oh, nobody. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, you create more holes instead of filling holes. Food. So yeah, Bill, what do you think of drafting Will Howard? Is he going to make roster 53?
He's gonna make the team. Yeah, I mean, what have you seen the quarterback room? He's making the team. What kind of? Come on, man. Come on. I was born at night, but not last night. Yeah, he's making the team. What are you talking about?
You gotta like Will Howard, though. It's the first time you actually have a big, strong guy at quarterback since Big Ben. If you can get him to be a little bit more accurate, he can be the guy.
And the only issue is that if you could be like, do you know how many times now Josh Allen it worked out, right? Joshua Patrick Allen, it worked out, right? But usually if you could just get him to be more accurate thing usually ends in, oh God, why did we see this coming? Right? It's the hardest thing to fix this late in your development, right? And it's not like JJ McCarthy. He's been around. He's another one of those guys who's gonna turn 24 before the season ends. Like, this is an old quarterback group, right? Go look at the dates of birth on the quarterback group that was just drafted. There's a bunch of old dudes, man. I think the average age, I'm not even joking, was something like 23.7.2, right? 23 years, almost 23 and 3/4 years. It's a very old quarterback group. So I'm not saying these guys can't still improve. I want to make clear I'm not saying that. But it's not like you're getting some 21, 22-year-old. This is somebody who's been around. So the good news is that I saw him improve, right? Yeah. I saw Kansas. Now, part of it's because he had much better receivers at Ohio State than he had at Kansas State. But I watched his entire career arc. I watched him be a backup to the athletic kid they had originally when he got there at Kansas State, whose name is escaping me now, who transferred out. It'll come, whatever. But I saw him be the backup to that guy. And then that guy got hurt. And then Will Howard went out and looked okay. It's like, hey, we may have something here. Then Howard takes the job permanently after. He redshirts his freshman year. I think he plays in like 1 or 2 games with redshirts. Then, like you said, he's the backup. The guy ahead of him gets hurt. He shows some stuff. It's like, hey, we got something. Takes over the job, has a better year, the Ben Sinnott year, right? And then Ben Sinnott leaves, and it's like, uh-oh. Then he transfers out, which is probably wise. And he goes to a place where it's like, when I throw a football, wherever I throw it, someone on my team catches it, right? Wow! I mean, that's got to be an exciting way to live, right? If I am anywhere near, they catch it. Like, wow, what a revelation that is for him. And so he goes from being this very cautious guy to like, what the heck? It works, right? He threw a lot of YOLO balls towards the end of his Ohio State career, and it worked. Now, it won't be quite that easy in the NFL. He doesn't have Jeremiah Smith versus future stock analyst as often as he had in his days. You know, I saw the Northwestern game. Good God, so. It's different, right? It's pro football. There are no easy anythings, right? Everything's hard. But you're right. I mean, if you're looking for the best possible situation for Will Howard, this is one of them, right? I mean, we mentioned the Saints earlier. There's 2 or 3 situations where you'd say, hey, Will Howard, you got a shot. This is one of those 2 or 3, right? Where Will Howard has a legitimate shot to see the field as a starter at some point.
Yeah, it's funny, though, because that, again, would have made more sense to have kept Russ and let him, learn behind him instead of Mason Rudolph being your front runner.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, even before I knew this would happen, my comp for Will Howard was Mason Rudolph. So imagine, I'm not joking. I can show you. I've got it. I've got it in my notes. So, yeah, it was a real knife in my heart when this ended up actually playing out. But whatever. Yeah, I'll survive. I mean, I've made it this far.
I like that your team's the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And then you want to add toxic ayahuasca to it. I mean, we already have enough trouble.
I never put any real I mean, I feel like they played some footsie, but it's just not a. I mean, could you know what Yinzers are like, James? Right? I mean, if he has a single bad game at home, oh, I wish him luck getting back to his car unmolested. Like this is.
Whose car was
the setup? I would have loved to have seen. The setup I would have loved to have seen. You keep Pickens, you have DK, then you have Rodgers, and you lose the first 3 games off the rip. Like, that would be the ridiculous, toxic environment ever seen in football. Like, they'd be beating each other up on the sideline and
oh my God,
throwing everyone under the bus.
Once again, we were talking about 30 for 30s, like the greatest 30. This is one of the greatest 30 for 30s of all time, right? What if I told you that an actual NFL team had a full-on orgy of violence during one of their team meetings, right? One of those players-only meetings. Oh my God, what a bloodbath that would be!
Pickens just took DK out with a Gatorade container.
Oh my God!
I mean, you can duel shows like this forever.
If nothing else, we've had fun tonight. So glad to have you back tonight, Bill. So, Bo, I'm going to let you give us your final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Let's go with. Can we stop making the NFL release such a dumpster fire all week? Like, it doesn't need to be this huge thing. You tell us the teams 2 months ago. You know what the schedule is. Or do it like college. Let us know a few years in advance. So I don't know, if we want to go somewhere, we can book the trip. I get that their marketing machine is off the charts and they've turned it into something crazy. But all of this is who we're playing, and come on, it's dumb. That's it.
I was looking at that Steelers schedule. We play out of the AFC East and the AFC North. So that should be some good matches. Want to see how that works out.
When we got you guys week 2.
Yeah, we got. Let's see. I think we play you guys in the Chargers. And then, it's Chicago, Minnesota, Detroit, Buffalo. Thank God there's only one. We need some more Miami's, maybe a couple New England's. Bill, what thoughts? It's great having you tonight.
Yep. So, born on this day, right, in the year of our Lord, 1977, was Harry Leroy, a.k.a. Roy Halladay, who, of course, tragically died young, November 7th of 2017. Not even 41 years of age. But he put up a 64.2 WAR, right, which is ridiculous. 203 wins, 105 losses in his career, a 3.38 career ERA. And maybe the most impressive of the numbers, a 1.178 career WHIP, which is walks and hits per innings pitched, 2,117 strikeouts, which is solid. But what stands out to me, and obviously, we certain numbers, are gone forever. This is a guy that in 2010 completed 9 games. In 2008 completed 9 games. In 2003 completed 9 games. In 2009 completed 9 games. In 2011 completed 8 games. In 2007 completed 7, and in 2005 completed 5 games. And I mean, there's certain records that will, of course, like every few years, whoever leads the league in complete games will be a lower number each year, right? It used to take well into the double digits in complete games to be the complete games leader, right? There was a year where, a guy had more complete games than he had wins, right? Which, like, think about that. There were times when a guy would have like 24 wins and 27 complete games. In fact, I think one year Steve Carlton won 27 games and had 34 complete games. Well, yeah. Well, these are things we'll never, ever, 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 ever see again, obviously. And he was sort of the last of that generation of pitchers that actually expected to complete a game when they started one, right? The guys who are in the league now don't expect to complete the game. They are pleasantly surprised if they get to see the 8th inning. So
pleasantly surprised if they get the 6th inning.
Right. Exactly. Also, yeah, you're not wrong about that. So the expectation has completely shifted. And when I think about the pitchers that I grew up watching, right, the Vita Blues and the, Catfish James, Catfish Hunters and, Al Kuzman and my favorite, Tom Seaver and, Gaylord Perry and all that bunch, right? There was still a point in pride in being able to walk off after the game was over with the ball still in your hand. And now that's not even an aspiration, right? Guys don't even think about that when they take the mound as a starter. So when I think about Holiday and that bunch, the last group of starting pitchers that at least had an inkling that they might finish the game, and I think about the career that he had, I want to sort of, as they tip the cap to that generation of pitchers and realize that it's one of those things we just won't see any more of, right? There's not another one of those coming. There are certain kinds of players we just won't ever see again, and that's one of them, right? We don't get to see the headhunter safety anymore. That's gone. There's no more being made. That's gone. There's no more, Chuck Cecils or Mel Blunts or Jack Tatums. That's done. There's certain kinds of things there's just no more of. There's no more pitchers that expect to complete the game. So once again, on this day, in the year of our Lord, 1977, Harry Leroy, a.k.a. Roy Halladay, was born, and I want to commemorate the career that he had.
So what is the complete game winner for the year? What, 3 maybe now?
Maybe. Well,
right.
Let me see. So 2024. Let's just take a quick look.
Because I know there's a couple, right? Because there's a couple of guys that got like no hitters or something. So
right, there's at least right. At least that guy got a complete game.
Exactly.
That's how you know he got a complete game, because he got a no hitter. But yeah, the number is probably. Oh God, it was a several way tie for 1. It looks like. Let me see. I'm not. I don't think I'm joking. Let me confirm this though. Let me hit sort just to make sure I'm not missing somebody. Oh, sweet God. It is a several pitcher tie with 1. Nathan Uvalde, Eric Freddie, Mike. Wait. Oh, sorry. That's 2025. Oh, he scared me. Okay. Oh, okay. Wait. Hold on. Okay. Now. Okay. It's better. I'm looking at 2024 now. It's a several way tie for 2.
Oh, so I was right there. 2 or 3. So
Max. So here's the guys who are tied: Max Fried, Kevin Gausman, Christopher Sanchez, all with 2. That was it for last year.
And Fried, I think, had a no-hitter.
Correct.
So, yeah. So there we go. That makes me sad.
It does.
The one that's really wild is with the amount of guys that strike out all the time now. I mean, strikeouts are crazy.
Yeah.
There's still nobody's in the game long enough to challenge Nolan Ryan.
Right. If you could go out there and average 7 2/3 innings, and you're a strikeout guy, you could be cutting up a 300 strikeout season nowadays because there's no shame in striking out. Like there used to be that sometimes if you were having a really bad stretch, the manager would take mercy on you, be like, yeah, get out of the lineup. Right now, they just leave you out there. Go ahead, just keep swinging, kid. Right, you'll eventually get one. It's
no more
amazing.
Don Drysdale.
Yep.
No more Sandy Koufax.
No.
You can get that.
No.
I mean, you have guys getting more strikeouts in a season than like Gwynn had in his career.
Right. There was a stretch. So, I mean, I think maybe somebody else might have done it, but the person that I always think about is DiMaggio, right? One year he had more home runs than strikeouts. I mean, in fact, more than 1 year. But like there was a time when if you got close to 100 strikeouts, they would bench you to make sure you didn't get to it. Now there are guys who be knocking on the door of 100 around the time of the All-Star game.
Exactly. It's terrible.
All right, guys. Good to remember this. Talk with everybody next week. Some of the guys will be back. And as I say, Phil, we got you to January.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a good one. Have a good
yes,
show.
take care. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah.
Take it easy, guys.